Just when you thought Dustborn had trickled away into oblivion, it's back. Hey, everybody, I'm Craig. Welcome to the Side Scrollers Podcast channel. If you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button and come join us Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time when we're live talking about all the insanity in the video game world space. All right, let's talk about this. It is Dustborn. We all know everything about Dustborn, don't we? Oh, you don't? Well, let me tell you about it. It was a game that was launched earlier this year, and it got immediately destroyed for its insane woke agenda in the game. Some called it the wokest game ever, with a highlight of average number of player base of like 4 to 10 people on a day-to-day basis. It was not seen as a success at all. Pretty much it got passed around the internet and it was rejected to half court, Dikembe Mutombo style, and rightfully so. But for the first time, the lead developer over at who created Dustborn is speaking out as the Dustborn dev has opened up after its brutal launch. Now, we're going to read this article. This is an interview from gamer.no, which I'm guessing is a Norwegian website. It has been translated to English, so there may be some mistranslations along the way, thanks to Google or whatever, but we're going to take it for what it is. But I'm going to ask you just to kind of stay with me throughout this, because everything about this is so tone deaf and so out of touch from reality. I don't know if there's a better way to say it. I would like to open up with this. My boy Smash JT had a video about Dustborn not too long ago. And I want you to listen to what he says about these developers. And then as we're reading through that, come back to what Smash JT is saying. So here we go. Let's listen to this real quick. This is a little snippet from his video.
One of the most prominent themes in the criticism is the perception of the game creators that are so out of touch with reality. The developers live in some sort of ultra-progressive bubble, creating a world that mirrors their own ideological environments, rather than the diverse and often contradictory realities that most people are facing. They are living in a world where they are stereotyping what they think the challenges are that people are facing, when ironically, all they're doing is stereotyping what people think the stereotypes are.
All right, so there's my boy Smash. You guys go subscribe to his channel. It's a great channel. He's been doing the Lord's work over there. With that said, now let's get to this article here, because we heard what Smash had to say, and I think that really is going to rear its ugly head as we go through this thing. So like I said, just kind of roll with me. Dustborn dev opens up after brutal launch caught us completely off guard. Red Thread Games has endured hate and threats after the launch of their new game. Their CEO is worried for the future of the industry. Here is their CEO. His name is Ragnar Thornquist. Ragnar. Now, let me just say this, and it needs to be said, and actually, it doesn't even need to be said, but I'm going to say it anyways. Nobody should be harassing Ragnar and his team, right? You can laugh at the stupid product that they made, and that's totally fine, but nobody should be calling and doing death threats or sending them emails and letting them know. Look, these are just lost souls at the end of the day. And nobody should be like, harassment is a bad thing. Nobody should be harassing anybody. Be critical, don't harass. All right. So let's put this in perspective here. It talks about Ragnar Thornquist is one of the leading figures in the Norwegian game industry. He has worked in game development for nearly 30 years and loves his job. It is his greatest passion. However, the launch of Dustborn, the newest game from Red Thread Games, has forced him to seriously reconsider whether game development is something worth pursuing. Is it worth living this way when you have a family? This is one of the questions Thornquist has asked himself. The Dustborn has garnered enormous international attention, mostly of the negative kind. Accurate. When critics have received Dustborn in a somewhat while critics have received Dustborn in somewhat lukewarm fashion, criticism has flooded social media. Many have reacted strongly, claiming the game pushes a woke agenda. Oh, it doesn't. We're not claiming. It's very much written from beginning to end that this game is built around pushing an agenda along the way. Conspiracy theorists are abound. There it is right there. Conspiracy theories. You know it. It caught us completely off guard. We were surprised to be by the extreme reaction to the launch. We had no plan on how to handle it. This is the most, like, the fact that they pushed this out there, and you're going to figure that you're going to see this as we continue this article here, that they had no clue. They thought everyone was going to be like, yay, and throwing like flowers and tossing candy at them. Hooray for Dustborn. Hooray. Look at this wonderful, wonderful idea of a game. wild falsehoods here. And once again, this is broken down into multiple parts. Tornquist has been through tough situations before. He lived at a secret address and has an unlisted phone number precisely because he knows how intense fans can be. But nothing could have prepared him for what happened with Dustborn. He won't go into detail about everything he's heard, but Tornquist claims that he's been there's been both harassment and threats. You can easily ignore what's being said in forums or X. Emails feel a little bit closer to home, but receiving text messages where someone wishes you dead is unsettling. Look, I think we all can agree with that. Don't be texting Thornquist or Ragnar over here, and don't be sending them emails. You don't need to be doing that, right? Just you can be critical and all that stuff. Well, I think we can all agree on that. Be critical of the game. These people are still people. Several videos about Tornquist have surfaced on YouTube. One video claims that Tornquist has said he wants to drown babies. Come on. I mean, I by the way, I need to find this video. I definitely need to find this video, and maybe we can do another video about that video. Thank you, Dustborn, for your ridiculousness. It should be fairly obvious. I don't want babies to die. It's very, I think it's outrageous. There's no way it can be removed, and it's a very damaging lie. Is it really a damaging lie when everybody realizes that, Ragnar, you don't actually want to kill babies? Like, everybody understands you don't want to kill babies. Everybody knows you don't want to go and drown babies. Anyways, blown out of proportion. Is it really? Okay, they talk about the parallels between Dustborn and Firewalk Studios' Concord, which was the biggest debacle of all time in video game history. And here's where it comes in. Red Thread's office in Oslo houses 12 people. Firewalk has 165 employees, and Sony, a billion-dollar company, backing it as a publisher. We're a tiny studio. That's why it feels so blown out of proportion when we experience so many attacks and conspiracies. It takes a toll. Red Thread's goal is to create a story-driven game that stands out. They aim to make something innovative and fresh. The developer has always made games that are different, often featuring characters that are a bit out of the ordinary. That means people don't like their games, and Tornquist is fine with that. They have their niche. Now, keep that in mind later in this article when he's complaining about how much they haven't made, how other games don't make any money. Just remember that. Just saying, you've been doing this for 30 years. And at a certain point, you should probably start turning a profit or making some money, right? And not asking for the government for handouts. Just throwing it out there. Their games aren't for everyone. It's been really tough to deal with. We're used to people not liking our games. We're used to people not liking our games, says the game developer who develops games. But we appreciate well-argued reviews, even if they're negative. The difference here is the massive amount of negative feedback from people who have never played the game and never will. They just jump on the bandwagon and make those videos. Hey, you know what? Here's the thing. Nobody is going to play your game because it goes back to you've given them no reason to actually check it out. They've seen it all. And let's talk about somebody who has actually played your game. As for a matter of fact, let's take a look at what Savvy said. Here's a quote from Savvy's review, who played through your entire game right here. And I think this is wonderful here. She says, after giving the game more hours than any American game blogger would give to any game, I've come to the conclusion that this was written by a bunch of brain dead rocks. I do not believe for one instance that anyone of the progressive mindset would be this unaware and actually think this is good content. I cannot for the life of me understand how anyone thought this was a good idea. Not even the Babylon Bee could come up with this. Once again, going back to Smash JT's thing, where he talked about the idea of these developers being totally detached from reality. That's echoed in Savvy's statement, and it's echoed even further in this article. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. We have to take death threats seriously, blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's where I want to talk about this. People have said this game is so ridiculous that it has to be satire. Like, this has got to be maybe like a psyop or something along the lines. Maybe that's where the conspiracies come in. It's so bad and it's so over the top and so ridiculous that it has to be fake, right? And so let's get into this. Did you expect debate over some of the more obvious politically correct aspects of the game? Yes, but we were never out there to provoke. We were never out to provoke. We just wanted to make a game with characters that are different. We don't think it would be so controversial that a game would fight against a fascist regime. I don't think many people want to live in a police state. And our version of the US is by no means the real America. Now, keeping in mind that this game, the development of it started after the 2016 election, inspired by the election of Donald Trump. So what do you think? Like, this is total gaslighting in this situation. It's like, oh my gosh, this is someone in a Norwegian company thinking what the United States was supposed to be like under Donald Trump. I can go back 4 years ago when he was the president. Well, maybe not in 2020 because I was fucked up. But the first 3 years of his president was pretty dang good. I can only speak for myself and, my entire friends and family and social structure around me that, they felt that their lives were better than where it is right now. Anyways, whatever, without getting too far to that. In many games have faced criticism for using pronouns such as he and she. No. Oh my God. The idea that facing criticism, they're not needed. They're not needed in video games. You should be able to look at somebody and know that's a girl or that's a he, or certainly not, it's not a they or a Z or a devil thee or whatever it is. Dustborn also does this. The use of pronouns have become relatively established in video games. No, they have not. And we knew people would react to that. If they were so established, then why did you know people would react to that? But it was the reality we wanted to present. We didn't feel we've made a game that's primarily about politics. We don't feel we made a game that's primarily about politics. It's more about language and relationships between people. This guy is insane. And they talk about this. One of the game's premises is the game you have a combat system where you can trigger or cancel people. Oh, and don't forget about this wonderful gem along the way.
You are racist.
What? This is a thing that you can do because you trigger people. Like, what are you talking about? So, is this satire? And listen to this non-answer. I think the game speaks for itself. It's over the top in many ways. It's colorful, inspired by by comic books. His fight has fight sequences against giant robot mascots, and it has a sarcastic view on the world. It doesn't take itself very seriously, says Tornquist, elaborating, continuing, saying, I hope people can see the game and understand that it's an alternate world, something that also applies to the story. The game may be a dystopian reflection of the world, but the story is not written for realism. It's done with humor and exaggeration, but it's very much tongue-in-cheek. But once again, we're talking about, is it satire based off of people's thoughts of what the left and right think of each other? Like, the question was not answered. So the idea of if the game speaks for itself, no. He's literally asking you, is the game satire? Please lay it out for us there, Ragnar. We all want to know. We all want to know along the way. This is crazy. Now, he talks about the criticism along the way and how it's just hateful and these people are bad. Torquist says that it was mocked along the way after they released a statement. They said they released a statement afterwards. They just couldn't comprehend what was happening. And the statement was mocked, which it was because it was silly and dumb. And he says, it seems like people twist everything we say with malicious intent. They've created a narrative that Red Thread Games is corrupt and making propaganda. But the fact that we've made a game we want to talk about and share with others, it's not for everyone. And they don't have to play it. That's true. And you know what? People aren't playing it. But let's see who is. Oh, that's right. 3 people are playing this game right now with a peak of 7, with an all-time peak of 83 people. 83. Now you may be saying to yourself, hey there, Craig, what does it look like? How does that look like as far as sales numbers go? Well, they're going to tell you, here's the other thing about this article. They say it's not a flop. It's not a flop. Dustborn is not a flop. The game has received mixed reviews, but also a lot of positive feedback. Well, feedback doesn't pay the bills, by the way, there, Ragnar. Those are those who actually played it seem to enjoy it. Paging Savvy, she would like to have a word with you. Paging I know many people who have played it and they did not enjoy it. Dustborn isn't selling as much as we like, but we're proud of it and think that it's a good game. Okay. The publisher holds specific sales figures, so Tornquist doesn't have full oversight yet. This is a common for launch games. Even though it's not an immediate success, it is sold far more than what people are saying online. I can say that. Well, if that's the case, they're certainly not playing it. We know that for sure. That's literally the real-time account right there. And you cannot tell me this game is even remotely closely to successful when the all-time peak was 83 people, where most people playing it are streamers and people who want to make fun of it, right? And I understand that still pays the bills. I get it. But at the end of the day, man, you can't even talk about this game being even remotely close to a success in any way, whether it's financially or the approach that they took to it. Profitability takes time. Our internal goals for Dustborn haven't been met yet, but that doesn't mean it's a flop. Yes, it does. But he says, this is the most interesting thing about it. Are they going to continue? Are they going to keep going? And the answer is yes. Yes, they are. They have other games that are on the way that they're producing. So keep an eye out for that. They actually talk about the state funding, and this is actually confirmed. Arch put together a video where he talked about the 14 million Norwegian krones that they were given, as well as the $150,000 from the grants. And that was confirmed. Arch did a little digging and had this sent to him. And that was confirmed for the first time. So here we know for sure that is definitely a thing. They are now fearful for the industry. Now, I realize this entire article is a lot, and I appreciate you guys hanging with me. If you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button and join us. But you can see this is the reception of more and more games. Everything becomes part of the culture war. I hope we can get past this, because it's very unfortunate. Both for those in the industry now, potential new developers, investors, and publishers. And here is the most crazy ass statement of the whole thing. No one wants to get caught up in such a culture war storm. Says the guy who made an entire game around culture and a culture war. Ragnar.
You are racist.
I don't even know if you are or not. I'm just kidding. I just put that out there. Anyways, has the reception of Dustborn affected your approach to development and messages in video games and storytelling moving forward? I'd say it's hard to say no, even though I would like to. Everyone is afraid of the choices they make, and I don't think that only applies to us. All our discussions about the next game are colored by this. Well, here it is, friend. It's really simple. Listen to the audience. You want to make a profitable game. You don't want to have a long-term. You want to be turning and burning, making money right off the bat. Listen to the audience. Maybe don't include a game that is all about social justice warriors and what the election under Donald Trump would have been like or will be like in this post-dystopian world that you created. You've done this to yourself. You created this mess. And now you want to play the victim? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I know you don't buy it, gentle normal man, but I would love to hear your thoughts down below. I will include a link to this article down below so you can read the whole thing in its entirety, but it is mind-numbing. It is mind-numbing, to say the least. With that said, appreciate you guys. Hit the thumbs up button. And of course, subscribe if you're new. Got another video for you here. Got to subscribe for you here. See you guys later.